Welcome guys to this video. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can set up two-tier AWS Beanstalk architecture. And this architecture will be ready for deploying any type of application, may it be Spring Boot, may it be Laravel, may it be Python projects or Node.js projects. So this one will be a ready architecture for any kind of application. So we are going to use 4 services for this architecture. One, we are going to create our own virtual private cloud, where we are going now to manage our resources within a virtual network. We are able now to control our resources and also implement security measures. Then from there, we are going to have AWS Beanstalk. This is a platform as service where we'll be able to create our resources that we want without really dealing with the underlying infrastructures. I'll walk you through how it works, and also I'll show you how to use the CloudFormation to be able now to provision the resources that you want. And then from there, our application that you're going to deploy will have a DB. We are going to use AWS RDS, MySQL. And again, I'm going to show you how you're able now to set up and be able now to have RDS in a private subnet, and in our application in public subnets. And then finally, we are going to have AWS code pipeline, which will help us to deploy our code automatically without either uploading or maybe getting our project from STD packets. We'll use the code pipeline to automate the entire process of software and format lifecycle, that is SDLC. So guys, be ready. We are going to run match, and I'll make it very simple for you to be able to get the concept of setting up the entire AWS Beanstalk architecture. So let's go to AWS console and we start implementing these services. I've already logged into my AWS account, and I want to switch my region to Ohio region. Ensure that all your resources are in the same region. Once they're able to communicate and we're able to set up one virtual private network. So let me go to Ohio. First, we're starting by defining our VPC and the required resources that we need to have in place. So let's go to VPC. So in our VPC, we are going to define 2 availability zones, and each will be having 2 subnets, one public subnet and the other one a private subnet. Public subnets will be hosting our application, where the private subnet will be hosting our database. Just make sure that our database is secure. That's why we are creating a VPC to have a secured network that we are able now to manage and control. So I will go straight and create a new VPC, and I will use the AWS console. The other options like using CloudFormation, Terraform, but I want to make it very simple for us to get the concept. So I use VPC and more features. So here we can give a VPC name. So we can call it a project VPC. We are going to use the IPv4, and the list that we're going to use, we are going to use the default one. So here we are not going to change much. Yeah, we'll have 2 availability zones to make our application available in case of the traffic increase. Then from there we have two public subnets, one in the first available zone and the one in the next or the second availability zone. So we won't change anything there. And the number of privates will be to 2. Will be 2. That is one in the private subnet and the other one in the private subnet in the other zone. Then in this case, let's not have a NAT gateway for this, and then we use a S3 endpoint data. So to be able now to see how this structure look, so here we have our VPC. It comes with 4 subnets, 2 private subnets and 2 public subnets, and it has 2 availability zones. We have US East to A, US East to B. Each zone has 2 subnets, private and public. So our application will be deployed on the public, where our database will be on private. Just make sure that we have protected our data that we are processing. Then from there, to make sure that our application is scalable and available to the users, we are having 2 availability zones. So in case one of them go down, we're able to serve customers or users using the other availability zone. Then from there we have the route tables. Of course, these route tables define the rules. For example, we have this route table that is enabling the subnet to communicate with the Ethernet. We have the private rules. That means this private subnet can't communicate with the Ethernet. And then we have another one for the other zone. From there we have Ethernet gateway that is enabling communication from here, public subnet, all the way to the Ethernet. And then here we having a connection between these 2 private subnets. So this is the entire setup that we are going to use, and we are going to deploy all our resources within this virtual network. So I'll just go ahead and create this virtual network. VPC is now creating. As we wait to finish, let's go to another service, Beanstalk service. Here we are going to use this platform to be able now to deploy our application. It is almost finishing, 90%. They have created, so we can view our VPC. These are VPC that we have created, so we'll come to use it later. That's what you only need to do on the VPC side. So let's go to Beanstalk. So in Beanstalk, first we start by creating our application, where under this application we can create our own environments. Let's say you want to have a dev environment, stage environment, and production environment. You can come and create them under this application name. So we can call it application Elastic Beanstalk, and then maybe just give it. Let's call it not dev. Let's call it DevOps. And then I like using tags. They will help you when you want to manage your cost. You can use tags to filter and also group the resources. So let's give it a name. In this case, just copy the same name, and then we create that application. So now under this application, we can have now our environments here, maybe that one dev environment, staging environment, or production environment. So I just want to create dev environment. Of course, ours will be web server environment, but if you are running something like cron job or something that is needing more compute power, you can use a worker environment where to run some process. But in our case, it will be a web-based application, so we are going to use a web server environment. So of course, it's going to pick our application name automatically. Then we are going to create our own application, that is the environment. So here we are going to call it dev environment, application dev environment, and let's call it application DevOps dev environment. So domain name you can use the same, and if you leave it empty, the AWS will automatically assign for you. So description for that environment. So these are very important section. Here you define the language that you are going to use as a platform. So there are a number of languages that are available here. So make sure you select the one that match with your project. Mine will be PHP. Then from there, platform branch, the latest, and also we also recommend for you the platform version, so don't change those one. And then from there, during the introduction, I saying that we are going to use AWS called pipeline to be able to automate the deployment. So in this case, we are going with the sample application. We are not going to use these other options where we are putting the code. Now we are not going to do manual stuff, so let's keep that one. Then presets. Here you define how you want your application to be deployed in different resources. And in my case, I'm going to use a Sigo because this is just a demo project, so I'm not going to use more resources. But if you are having a production application, make sure you are selecting this one and this one. Will give you flexibility of having a scale in a scale out when the traffic increase and decrease. If you go with the second one using the spot instance, you only go with this one. Your application can tolerate unprompted interruption. So if you are okay with that one, you can choose this one. You can even now go ahead and customize how you want your configuration to be. So you can choose the last option, but I'll use the first option. So let's go next. So in the next screen, we are going to define the service access, and AWS automatically create these roles for us, so you don't have to do anything. So for example, here it is giving the Beanstalk permissions to access the EC2s and to access the AWS SD buckets, other services like code pipeline. That's why we have given this one. Then we have this role permission that is enabling the Beanstalk to be able to communicate with the EC2 that we are going to provision. So don't change anything. Regarding the keep here, we are not really going to SSH from PowerShell, but we can use it within the AWS console. So we are going to attach a security group rule that is giving us SSH permission. So leave that one. So in this screen, we are not going to change anything. So let's go next. So here on the virtual private cloud VPC, we are going to select the VPC that we created. Remember, this is the VPC that we created here. So we are going to use project VPC. This one, we created this one. And then from there, you want to assign our EC2s that will be created on public subnets to have public IP address to communicate with the Ethernet. From there, these are the availability zones that we have. So these guys are not clear. So let's do this. Let's come here. Let's come here and copy this one to see the private and public subnets. And the first one, so let's just put it like this down here. So the first one is public subnets. So we are going to check this for application. Then the next one is also, yeah, the next one is also the public. So these two will be for the application, and then for DB, the last two will be for DB, the private subnet. So by doing this, our application is able now to communicate. Let me just confirm to make sure that is correct. Yeah, the last two are private subnets. So we are good to go. And then from there, our application is able now to communicate with database, because we are sharing the same VPC and they are in the different availability zones, so but within virtual private network. So that's very important to understand that one. Under the same virtual private network, but in a different availability zones. We are going to define the accessibility through security group on how the private from one subnet can communicate with the application in public subnet can communicate with the private subnet RDS. So we are going to define through the security group, and then from there we are good to go. The other fields are grayed out, so we are good. So you can come here and give it a name. Put Elastic Beanstalk app. Be good for it. Let's go. Just now open the other. So here we let's not change anything for here. You can define the boot volume type that you want, but for this one we can use the default one. Monitoring interval, we can go with the default one, 5 minutes. Security group, let's go with the default, or that you're going to create a, let's not check this one. We are going to define this later. Capacity single instance, of course we select a single instance. Or demand, not spot, because this one will be unprompted interruptions that we don't want, that will terminate our project when maybe we're using it. I don't know that one. Then from there, of course, we are going to use these instance types. And then we are good to go to the next screen. Yeah, good. In this screen, regarding the reporting and monitoring, monitoring is a very wide topic that we can discuss. So let's do it in a different video, just to ensure that you get the concept. So I'm not do anything here, but we are going to use Nginx. So there's the Apache and Nginx for reverse proxy. So let's stick with this one. and then from there I'm using Laravel, so this will be the document root public, and so we are going to get our project. If your framework maybe made by Java, Spring Boot has a different document root, you can define it here. And then from there we are good to go. Great, so we can go to the next screen. So you have a review of what you have done, so you can just check your implementation, your configurations, and if you feel like you have skipped something, you can go back and collect, but you just proceed. Here you define the environment properties like DB configurations. You can define it within here, but we'll come later and I'll come later and show you how you can do this. So I think I'm satisfied with the setup, so let me go next and submit. There we are. Is now provisioning the resources, and it uses CloudFormation. So let me open for you CloudFormation, and you see how the CloudFormation is provisioning these resources in our behalf. This is the beauty thing with the cloud, that is AWS Elastic Beanstalk. It is a platform service whereby you as a developer, you don't really worry about the infrastructures. AWS take over for you. So you see here we have this CloudFormation that we have created, that is from the Beanstalk, and now provision resources. So it will take some few minutes to finish. So what we're going to do next, we're going to define our DB. Yes, as we wait the resources to be provisioned. So let's come here and create our DB that will be in a private subnet. Let's go to databases. We create a new database. Okay, new database. We are going to use the standard one because there is one. There are some things that you will not understand how they are configured. So let's go with standard root to be able to do some stuff. So here these options based on your application and based on your database that you are using, you have these options. You can select any, but the setup is the same. So here we'll go with the MySQL. The entire setup is for any application. So this video will guide you step by step on how you can have a complete setup for your application to run. So of course the dictionary is MySQL community. I'm going to use it in version MySQL 8. I want to enable this one, so let's proceed. Of course, template to be for testing, but if you are doing for production, there are these options, but they come with the cost, extra cost. So mine will be free tier. Alphabetism for this for free is not enabled, so we won't do much on that one. Setup here, you give it your DB instance identifier. So this is not an username or a DB name. This is just a name that is identifying your DB instance. So we can call it application database, add yes. Then here we define the username for that authenticating to your database. You haven't chosen that one, but you can choose something else that you want. And then here you can allow AWS to manage for you the secrets through secret manager, but we are going to set our own pin for our DB. So here, give a DB the name that you want. So let me set some, have a notepad here. In this notepad, I'm going to have the AWS DB username. In that case, admin. We'll have AWS DB DB name. We have AWS DB password, and finally we have AWS DB host name. These are things that you need for us to be able to connect to our DB. So the DB name we're going to create, password we're going to create dev ops 2024 for my DB. I have this one here. This is what I'm going to use. Of course, immediately after this, I'm going to terminate the entire structure. So me displaying these confidentials, I won't threaten my environment. I'm going to delete them instantly. So we are good with this one, DB password. So instance configuration, show instance classes. No, we are going to not going to enable that one. Of course, we are going to use bustable classes and have only two options. These are the options that are there for you to be able to select. So let's go with the default one. The storage we are not going to change. It's a very small DB just for demo. Auto scaling, it is already enabled. They can auto scale. We are good to go. Connectivity, you can use the default one. VPC, so we have already defined our VPC. We should define ours. Let's see this one. So that's why it is very important to have a VPC, because this VPC enable communication between the resources and the same or different developed zone. So that's why I started creating a VPC for this. So we have that one already in place. So create a new DB subnet group, of course, there to will create, and then from there we are going to use the default security group for our VPC that we have selected. So it's going to use the security group for this VPC. RDS proxy, not now. Certificate, not now. Additional configuration, of course, is going to run with the default port. That one we are not going to change. Database authentication, we are going to use the username and password. But if you want to use IAM database authentication, or even the last one, you can choose that one. But let me go with the first one. So monitoring, you can enable monitoring of your DB, but I want to enable in this one. So here I'm going to get the DB name for database. Let's call it application DB. So this is the name of our DB. So you can come here, we put it here. So this is the same as RDS the point that you're going to get after creating our DB. So we are okay now. There's a backup for our DB, which is built in for 1 day. Backup application or encryption. Yeah, our DB will be, our database will be encrypted by default. Log, if you want to generate logs for this one, you can for further troubleshooting, but don't do anything there. So I'll be charged this amount of money because I've already exhausted the free tier resources. So maybe if this is your first time, you don't have these costs. So I think I'm good to go. Yes, so let's go ahead and create our database. Now I hope our NV have been created. Take some time for it to finish. Yeah, great. We have it complete. So you'll see, of course, you have defined the document root. You don't have the default PHP application. So we able now to solve this error once we deploy application. So up to there we are good. So let's wait to, don't know how to say this one. Even DB takes some time for it to finish. So we are going to have these endpoints as we are going to use as our RDS host name, and we are going to use it here, and we are going to apply it in our code so that we're going to connect to this DB. So meanwhile, let's proceed and integrate our application security group with the database security group. So now we have new EC2 that have been created. So if I come here, we have created one NV that come with one instance. We want to have one instance in our environment. So here you see there will be a learning application. Instance that you're going to close our application. So I just want to add one security rule for allowing us to switch to it. So let's come here to security group. So here we are going to the security group, and in this security group we are going to edit this inbound rules. We are going to add SSH it's from anywhere, and then ensure in production you don't do this. This is very risky. Can delete in your environments. Just use a custom and use your IP address. So let's go ahead and save this one. So from here we are able now to SSH to our EC2 instance. So let's go and connect to it, and then yes, with the root user. So when it comes down to the monitoring, as I said, is a very wide topic. You can even monitor who are the users logged to these instances using a root user instead of using the username that have been given to them, and be able now to have automated way of remediating by using AWS config together with the AWS Lambda functions to be able now to revert back and log out that user, and even protect that user from even logging to any EC2 instance. Yes, now we are already in our EC2 that have been provisioned by the CloudFormation, instructed by Beanstalk to provision this one. So here you're able to run some commands which you are going to run later once you deploy the application. You see our DB still processing. So let's go to our last scene. So I think our database have been finished. So this is the URL that you want. So you can have it. You can copy it. You copy it here. So we are going to use it here. So this is what you need to be able to connect to your database that is in a private subnet. Of course, you have to enable the database to allow the security group for public subnets that sourcing application security group to connect to database, and it is here loading. Once done, you'll be able to set it. So when you come here, I'm going to traffic, let's come here and edit. So here we are going to and alone. So here we are going to select MySQL, this one, and then here we are going to pick the security group for our application. So we are going to use this for application security group. So we are going to enable it to communicate with our application. So ensure you have done this. After you have confirmed these are accurate, make sure even this one is okay, so that we're able to connect to your database. So let's come there and do that one. So guys, in this video we have created our RDS for application. We have defined our VPC. We have also created the environment for application, and the next video I'm going to wrap up everything on how you can do the testing of our DB and application connections, and we are going to wrap up in the next video. So see you in the next video.